I'm going completely nuts because I want to do some skateboarding.
I do.
And the entire world right now is nothing but a frozen tundra.
Wet.
It's wet. It's not even cold. It was 53 in Cincinnati today. It's a nice temperature.
It really is.
I'm getting something to wedge that thing with. I can't live like that.
We're wedging.
I'm wedging.
Always.
I'm just gonna throw this box behind it.
That's bold.
I might do it. It is doing it. Come on. Nothing on here works smooth.
Ain't nothing on here works smooth.
Ain't nothing works smooth, man. That's better. That's money.
That's money.
Probably anyone who watches this won't even care, probably.
No.
So maybe they would. I don't know. I know when I watch stuff, I don't like certain camera angles very well. Well, today we're gonna hit. There we are. It's official. The CapmLew Podcast begins once again. Rides again.
Ride or die.
James Gang, great album. Rides again. Love it. They don't call them albums anymore. But here on the CapmLew Podcast today, we are going to, what do you call it? We're going to do major damage control.
Oh.
No.
Oh. I was like, what?
over all the drama.
Yes.
No, there's like no drama because nobody knows about us.
Yeah.
These are the salad days. Nobody knows about us. We are completely under the radar. UTR, baby.
It's kind of nice.
I think we should enjoy it.
Yeah, I know.
So, well, let's start off with thanks for being here on the CapmLew Show. I am your host, CapmLew, and your other host,
Luke.
He's Luke.
It's me.
Co-captain.
Co-captain. Here I am.
Luke and I were just talking, and he's got a baby on the way this spring.
I do.
There's going to be some solo dolo happening here on the CapmLew Show. I'm going to be podcasting solo on and off here and there, missing my comrade, my compatriot, and my companion.
Yes.
But we're not doing that soon. But I'm interested in how when you are on the show, how you can help to piece back together some of the disjointed flow that we're going to get. There are a lot of people who've sat with me, and I think people can appreciate that Luke helps keep me on track, and also helps me know what to talk about. So, but that's coming up in May.
Yeah, my baby's due in May.
And to me, May is right around the corner. It is presently not even February yet.
Yeah, so there's time.
Not really a whole lot,
Yeah.
But what you call it?
We're gonna roll with the punches.
We are. Yesterday we had a big old talk about the article that came out in the San Francisco Standard.
Yep, SF Standard.
SF Standard about the passing of Jake Phelps.
Yeah.
And every time that I say that, I just think of so many of our well-known and well-loved friends and leaders in the skateboarding community have straight up passed away.
I know.
When Shane Cross died, I don't know if you remember that. You were not skateboarding then.
Probably
I don't even
didn't.
know if you were born then.
Well, when did he die?
It was a terrible accident. He died in the 90s, and maybe early 2000s. I think it was early 2000s. Shane Cross died. He was an insanely talented street skateboarder, and I watched, even back then, because I was an adult, I was really struck with how, it just goes on and on, that there's not a healthy degree of conversation or accountability in the culture of skateboarding to date.
Yeah.
And yesterday's conversation about this article, specifically about this article, the question the article asked was basically,
have we gone too far?
Or could we have prevented?
Yeah, could we have done
more,
something else? Yes.
Or could the way that we handle things work in such a way, this isn't the article, but this is my mind, could the way that we handle such things be part of preventing reoccurrence of such things.
Yeah, the title of the article, the end of it is, "Could deaths have been prevented?" ?
Could deaths have been prevented? And that's actually a pretty good headline.
Yeah, I think it is.
Because
that's the right question.
I do know that, I mean, who can answer that question? That's like a purely rhetorical.
Yeah.
Some bubble gum to keep those electronics tacked down. We just got a comment on our live Facebook feed that listeners, let me explain. We port our live Facebook feed kind of raw, right? We just
raw.
We just rip it and slap it on YouTube.
Yes.
For what it's worth.
Yes.
That's just what it is here.
Yeah.
And we're not really planning on refining the show very much, because by the time we can afford to refine it, we should stay where we are. Because we're going to need that to pay rent, mortgages, and baby clothes and diapers and things like that.
Yeah.
We're putting in work on the podcast with great hopes and expectations and intentions.
Yeah.
So we're going to stay with 2 iPhones and an iPad for as long as we can, and I figure that if it never grows beyond that, we won't have gone and bought a whole bunch of fancy equipment. We have got an offer to borrow a GoPro.
Yes.
A good one, like the latest GoPro Hero 75.
Yeah.
We're able to borrow it,
and
they said, I only need this like 1 day a month.
Sure.
For this thing I do.
Right.
And so I predict that it won't be worth the time and effort that come from all of our life stuff.
Yeah.
To put into setting it up and playing with the camera angle. So I think I saw a comment come up on Facebook from Bud Stratford. Did you see that?
Gosh, dude, Sam
says just have the hyphenate come and build out your studio for free.
Oh, you dirty dog.
When I was listening to, we're going to continue our conversation about both the barracks and the article from the San Francisco Standard.
Yeah.
When I was listening to the hyphenate describing how things went with that, I was just struck at how vastly different it is where we are as who we are, because there is no 10 grand. When I built Fickle Skateboards and built my entire thing out, I never had in my hand more than $5 grand.
Yeah.
I think at one point I took out a loan from family to purchase my first slug of wood. I bought a whole pallet of wood for $7 grand. That was, and after that, I spent easily, over the 10 years, I spent easily $100 grand. But I never held more than 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it until I loved it all the way to the end. Didn't stop loving it. Definitely saw it reach the end of its purposes. But in regard to this Jake Phelps situation, I had to say, I think the skateboard industry has positioned itself in a parasitic relationship to the skateboarding public. I do.
Yeah.
I think that they have displayed intention through action, despite all the words, despite all the marketing and all that. I think that they showed their true colors as an industry community. And I used to harp on value and quality and those things in terms of just skateboard decks. And I used to harp on authenticity and inspirational content in brand marketing. But now I feel like it's time for us to graduate. And there's been an insane theft from the skateboarding community of direction, and our industry has not shown accountability. They've shown like almost zero. I have to say almost because I just don't know enough to say zero, but they've shown a very low demonstrated degree of practicing any sort of restitution for bad things that have gone on. And the skateboarding community has been, in my opinion, far too content with being preyed upon and being sucked upon by this parasite. The skateboarding community is actually the problem. It's what we as the skateboarders tolerated that has actually made this go like this. But we were young. We were young and dumb back in 1980 something, 1990 something, 2000. I mean, in the year 2005, I was like the oldest skateboarder around. At 33 years old. I was so old. It being early 30s was unheard of.
Yeah, to some degree, I think there's a defense early on when skateboarding was just for younger people, where a person could say, well, you know, the greater skateboarding community is predominantly under the age of 18, so you can't really blame them for being taken advantage of. But we moved into this zone where you have skaters of all different ages, as the sport itself or as the lifestyle itself has matured and aged just due to time, wherein I think that critique is a little bit more applicable, where you can say, oh, this is us, you know. We're to blame.
we did as a people, like in general. I was doing some writing and thinking today, and I was writing out some things, and I realized, like, you weren't around, and a lot of my listeners won't be around, but there were some real hits. And one of them, it was fairly recent, was mid-90s.
Dude.
Jonah Hill's mid-90s. Gosh. Sure. And mid-90s sort of was a kind of a continuation of the movie Kids by Harmony Korine. And Harmony Korine got a sweet, epically latered. And this kind of immoral, amoral celebration of ethical deficit, you know, that's been where skateboarding has been at. And anyone who questioned that has kind of gotten run out of town, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
But
it's a status quo.
And even like, you know, like, and I'm not talking about, like, you know, now there's like a party line, you know, where it's like, oh, we have girls and we have gays and we have this and that, you know, and it's like, yeah, but there's no real accountability involved. And that's a corporate marketing juggernaut's prerogative to rebrand on whatever's in right now. So, you know, I don't believe for a minute that skateboarding's industry has what's good for any of us in mind. You know, that's that. But people, we the skateboarders have so often looked to the marketing juggernaut. Calling Thrasher the Bible, you know, was really common. Like, it was like, you know, and having a priesthood in that religion of gatekeepers was really, that's what we did. And it's a mistake. It's a really bad mistake. We didn't know. You know, I'm not intending to throw stones or pull down buildings here, but like, yeah, it's a good time right now it's a good time in the age of self-publishing, you know, to go ahead and just share some thoughts and some words that might, you know, and again, one of the rules, and you can see it with this San Francisco Standard article. The rule of don't talk don't tell, don't talk, don't discuss, don't have a larger sense of responsibility to the community that we serve. I'm talking not about just skateboarders, but about the leadership at Thrasher. You know, I'm happy for every one of those older pros who finally realized that Jim Gray was right the whole time. You know,
Yeah.
and that partying hard like that all those years is really not the way to go. But I can't help but notice that the Peastone party every year is a festival of piss drunkenness and debauchery and revelry.
Right.
Now, I don't think that it shouldn't. I think that skateboarders should be able to do whatever they want to.
Yeah.
But I don't think that all of a sudden that the Peastone thing should be made into a sober event. But I don't know. It'd be cool. It would be cool to see someone try something to offset the damage that's done by freaking alcoholism.
Right.
You know, and you know, I'm not a personal subscriber to the disease theory of addiction. I think the predominant disease model of recovery is a fairly well functioning model, but even though I don't personally ascribe to that, that is the kind of common attitude about it. So if people see it as a disease and people go into treatment for it, why do we celebrate that so hard? And why does anyone who asks that get run out of the industry?
Yeah.
What's going on with us?
Especially in at a party to celebrate Peastone's life, who died in a drunk driving accident.
Tragic.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Of
tragic.
all the times, man, like, we're gonna party. Everybody parties. Those guys party all day, every day. It's
why not have a day off?
Just one, yeah. Especially around Peastone's, party, or the celebration of his life. Like, what if we just didn't?
Luke, I think that it does fall within the common tradition of what they call the Irish wake.
Yeah.
It does.
Yes.
It does. And in mourning.
Yeah.
In mourning another person, I don't have a lot of stones to throw at people who feel compelled to medicate.
Sure.
I do have some. I do have some questions.
Yeah.
And the question isn't about the party.
No.
The question is about the mag.
Yeah.
And the role that
Right.
the mag occupies in the lives of so many skateboarders. Where is the responsibility in skate media to... geez, man.
I know.
Just like to engender any level of adult responsibility.
Like, at all.
I know that Thrasher's kind of legacy is debauchery, but that's actually, that bums me out a lot. And it's why I canceled my subscription years before print died.
Sure.
Because I don't want to, I love looking at pictures of skateboarding, but I don't love seeing that kind of, I've got too many dead friends to be happy that, look at the public figures that we have. Are you familiar with Dustin Dolan?
I am familiar with him, yes.
Dustin Dolan, Australian ripper.
Yeah.
From the early 2000s. He's still kicking.
Yep.
And his persona, his public persona, is cannot be characterized in any other way than a celebration and a living recommendation to get wasted, to live wasted.
Sure.
And and I'm happy that there are people getting sober.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, and there are even articles about it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change what we're seeing as the core material emerging from that wing. And my big question about it is, are we gonna talk about that?
Like, at all?
Like,
right.
Are we gonna ever be like, you know what? Actually, it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
The skateboarding is awesome, but the content, the peripheral content, man, I don't know, dude. I don't want my friends to die on a couch.
No.
I don't want, you know, so what we are about is about the larger sense of conversation that we all ought to have. That's what we do here at the CapmLew Show.
Right.
I don't know, Luke, what do you think?
No, I just am thinking about how we're not, it's important to say what we're talking about, what we're not talking about. I don't think that we're saying, hey man, if you like to drink beer, that's morally wrong. That's not what we're saying.
No.
What we're talking about is the fact that, who's the owner of Thrasher again? Viteo?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I actually got a message this morning.
Yeah.
About who really owns Thrasher.
Yeah, is it different?
It is different. It's Fausto's wife.
That's what. Okay.
And but I don't care.
Yeah.
Who owns Thrasher? I do care about the overall trajectory of the content. But you were saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. There's a part in this article I'd like to read. It says Viteo also struggled with.
It's Vitello.
Vitello, my bad. It's Vitello. Vitello also struggled with the decision to withhold Phelps' cause of death, admitting that he still carries guilt for covering for Phelps while he was still alive. And this is the part that's important to me. He couldn't really form a sentence. He was slurring his words and drooling. Vitello said, "I can't totally dodge the idea that I had somebody working for me that was a danger not only to himself but to other people." So even within the idea that, you know, people should have the freedom and the liberty to indulge in whatever they want to indulge in, there appears to me to be a line in the sand somewhere that you're like, dude, we've come too far, man. Like, you got to stop.
In recovery, as well as in psychological counseling for broken people, and I'm familiar with both, there's a term.
Yeah.
And the term is enabling.
Yeah.
And the enabler shares criminal, and I mean morally.
Yeah.
I don't mean legal criminal.
Yeah.
They share moral responsibility for their impact on the addict's life progress or regression.
Sure.
And what you're hearing in that article is someone beginning to take a moral inventory of whether they were part of progress or regression in that person's life.
Right.
And that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And that must be very difficult. I say that with respect to Tony Vitello's personal experience of doing a moral inventory on those things.
Right. I would wish that the conversation would go farther, and perhaps it will as he spends time thinking about it. I mean, it has been 3 years, but to say, okay, well, not only was I criminally silent and, you know, habitually passive, but I can see that the culture that we're pushing actually glorifies this, with people like Dustin Dolan being like on the forefront.
And he's kind of passé.
Yeah, totally. But it's that same thing. Even Andy Roy for a while was.
For a while,
for a long time was in that zone. And these are the people that are on King of the Road and all that jazz. And that's just talking about it, like and SF, you know, San Francisco.
Well, SF is the predominant mainstream. I mean, those guys hold the keys to the kingdom.
No, they do. But you can see that the same attitudes are being played out across the country in other small hubs. In Denver, it was the same way. All the big boys would go to the skate park and be, you know, pissed drunk or whatever. On and on and on it goes, and pills and cocaine and.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we've literally been at a skate park not a few times where the big boys will show up, and that's the sponsored rides.
Yeah.
These aren't industry adjacent people. These are the people of the industry community.
Sure.
And they'll show up, and then they're just talking about doing cocaine. Yeah. And they're talking about pills. And I continue to use the example of one skateboarder's Instagram handle.
Right.
I want to stop doing that because I don't know where that guy is now, and
right.
I would really like him to know that no matter where you are, I care about you, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it came to this, us talking about these things without you in the room.
Right.
I hope that your story is a story of growth.
Yeah.
And I hope that your legacy to kids and grandkids will be something better than XYZ kid name takes pills and rips rails, and like that. I hope you've got something better going on. It's intense.
Yeah.
It's really intense.
Yeah, it really, really is.
Say on, Luke.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, I think part of the thing that we're trying to do here is to offer another option. We're trying to let the greater skateboarding community know we could do something different. You know what I mean? You could do something different.
We are different.
We are different. I don't do that. And I don't see that as a positive thing for the skateboarding community, for all of us to just be little hedonists running around doing whatever we want all the time, and the flawed idea that doing whatever you want all the time is true freedom. I disagree.
We aren't hedonists.
No.
What's different about the CapmLew Podcast and Lou and Luke is that instead of sitting here and just taking a dump all over everything that's going on, we're going to create media that embodies what we want to see. That's what I did in the skateboard brand concept.
Yeah.
I didn't like that your skateboard comes from a far-flung foreign factory not made by people who have any accountability to you.
Sure.
And people, and that the business ethics were so shallowly and so evidently corrupt. So I spoke out about it.
Yeah.
And I created a workshop, open sourced all the tech, started the makers movement. They're running all on their own now.
Right.
I was not the first person making skateboards. I don't think I was the best person making skateboards. There's so many different kinds of good, betters, and bests out there.
Yeah.
But I definitely wanted to spread skateboard making, and I also wanted it to stand as a critique of the status quo.
Right.
So you can talk about what you don't like, and that's good. We should.
Yeah.
But if you also create an alternative to what you don't like and begin to establish exemplary material, giving an example of what you like, now you're cooking with grease.
Yeah.
Well, I backed off of that and took a hiatus, and now in this spring we're going to start this podcast. All of what's going on now is just us learning how to use $20 lavalier mics. That's for real. This is. But we're now saying, okay, I like what happened. I like the workshops that started, not just in the United States, but Ireland and Belgium and Germany. I love that people are making boards in St. Louis and California, and we saw that happening. And now people who learned how to make boards off of me are teaching other people how to make boards. That's everything to me.
Yeah.
And, okay, so let's do media now.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have to start a new print magazine? Do we need to create a new hub of just skateboarding and skateboarding, everybody only skateboarding? Do we need to do that?
Yeah.
It's time that right now we're doing bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
But we see a need for media that is going to not do what skateboarding media has done up to this point. Now, there were publications that presented skateboarding in a more full way in the past. And I don't know if you know about this.
Go ahead.
There was a magazine called Concrete Wave.
I've seen those, yeah.
Concrete Wave magazine was viewed by the powers that be. I specifically experienced the inhospitality of Jamie Thomas in regard to Concrete Wave in 2010 at the Crossroads Trade Show. I saw how, because Concrete Wave included freestyle, and slalom,
Yeah.
and downhill, and push culture, longboarding,
Yeah.
as well as street
Yeah.
and park. And that was back when park skating was still seen as far inferior to street skating. That was back when Thrasher was still parasitically capitalizing on it has to be street clips and this just crazy gatekeeping.
Right.
And I don't know all of the inner workings, but I know that it was very hard for Concrete Wave to run as a magazine. That was during a time where all print media was bottlenecking down.
Yeah.
But basically every gatekeeper in skateboarding stood against not only that array of discipline. They didn't want people to think of skateboarding in terms of like longboarding and, you know, freestyle and push culture, and they didn't want downhill sliding, Sergio Whoopi and all these amazing people riding skateboards. They didn't want that.
Yeah.
And we actually have a former editor from Concrete Wave in our comments right now.
Yes.
Who is a great friend of mine.
Absolutely.
It's because of Bud Stratford that I was even able to be at the trade show 13 years ago.
Jeez. I would be interested to pick his brain about what his reasons in his mind why Concrete Wave did not succeed. Because from my perspective currently, I'm wondering if one of the reasons is that they were not putting out it was vidges.
It was a beautiful magazine. It was in the time of where video was coming up.
Yeah.
Concrete Wave was based in Canada. It was run by Michael Brook, one of the sweetest, most sincere. Loss of advertisers due to social media.
I see.
You see, it was a shifting time in print media.
Yeah.
And it, of course, can't be done the same way.
Well, and I wonder why.
Oh, I do wonder.
Because I'm looking at Thrasher and I can see that even in that time frame they were putting out videos and that's where people were going, and I wonder why Concrete Wave did not follow suit if they were just more interested in the print media. I mean, they must have been, because they weren't putting out videos, were they? I don't think that they were.
I'll say this.
Go ahead.
Thrasher was the dominant skateboarding magazine because we made them the dominant skateboarding magazine. It was us.
Sure.
The skateboarders listened to what Thrasher said. And everything Thrasher ever said funneled the reader and the listener and the viewer into its own
feedback
spiral.
Loop.
It was a feedback loop. You go, they'll tell you, the kids don't want that. Well, what do the kids want? Well, they want whatever we tell them to want.
Whatever you tell them, right?
Yeah. Whatever we tell them to want is what they want, and the kids don't want that.
Sure.
Well, but isn't that better for skateboarders and for skateboarding, even for the industry? All the shop owners who could have made money on the different equipments and the different emphases. And I think that if I were to sit in a business person's chair and listen as a business person and say, isn't a diversification of disciplines profitable? Doesn't it diversify, and doesn't it make the market more durable, less susceptible to contractions?
Right.
An expansive, all boats rise view toward all these different disciplines. And Thrasher had Phelps. And Phelps said no.
Yeah.
And whoever was behind Phelps, but that's where all the money was going. And I'm not saying it was ever a lot of money.
Sure.
Ask anyone who's getting money, and they'll tell you it's not a lot, because as soon as you have the amount you thought was a lot, you want more.
Yeah.
But this toilet bowl circling down is all they kept it in.
Sure.
And now we have the ability to put out a podcast.
Well, that's what I like.
I love it.
I only asked that about Concrete Wave because
they just didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Because the market was completely locked in to a narrative.
Right.
Was locked into a narrative that Thrasher that they perpetuated and intensified.
Right. That's what I like about what we're doing, because we're on the cutting edge of the technological spectrum right now, and I'd like to
in our
Stay
cutting edge
that way.
studio.
Yeah, in our cutting edge studio.
Do you see how many thumbtacks we have?
Right.
Do you not see the Breaking Bad action figures that we have? Do you not see that we've got Adventure Time figurines in a coffee cup?
Yeah, come on, man.
This is cutting edge.
It's cutting edge. It's cutting edge. Our technology is not cutting edge, but we're on the forefront of what people enjoy right now, and I'd like to stay that way, unless it moves into some crazy AI like cyborg metaverse weird thing, and then we'll just call it a day. But
it can't, because the thing that people really enjoy, the thing that's like the most broadly applicable that we're appealing to, is, hey kid. Hey, big kid.
Right.
You and that skateboard of yours, you got a good thing going.
Yeah.
So stay on that.
Yeah, keep it up.
Have fun with that skateboard.
Right.
And if it's not fun, maybe change up who you're doing it with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I perceive a possible future in which this, again, would be our full-time job. And we could be putting this stuff out full-time. And not only that, even moving into full-on board production and written media and even truck production. And I mean, imagine if you could get a skateboard made entirely 100% in Cincinnati.
We have the casting places here. It's insane. We could have trucks made.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm with you on all of that.
I'm just wondering. I'm
heart and soul on all of that. I could also see us helping, just contributing to the conversation to the degree that we might see, for example, Bob's Trick Tips on YouTube.
Sure.
There is a man in Austin. Imagine a world. There is a man in Texas named Bob Lofton.
Yeah.
And he is definitely not a hard charger.
Sure.
Bob is a quiet, humble, he's a better person than me. And categorically.
Sure.
And he does this Bob's Trick Tips thing.
Yeah.
Where he breaks down just low-level ditch and freestyle and just all the fun stuff.
Yeah, the small arts.
He's the guy who wrote the article,
the
small arts.
Yeah.
And I think that Bob Lofton is good medicine for a lot of people.
Right.
And now, I talked about it. If we get really technical, we'll drop a link on our YouTube in the description. Link in description.
We point. Check the link right here.
I think that we will be getting to a point of organization where we're connecting our listeners with people.
Yeah.
And platforming stuff like Bob Lofton gives people more options than the parasitic, incestuous industry garbage toilet bowl that we've always been forced to drink from and swim in.
Yeah.
And I don't mean been forced to, it's just that people haven't started their own stuff enough.
Yeah.
And when people did begin to start their own stuff, they started things like Revive Skateboards.
Yeah.
And John Hill.
Yeah.
I like John Hill.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy.
As a contributor to the overall skateboarding stuff, I think John Hill is a good faith player. He's done several hard conversations and he's covered some stuff that is kind of taboo.
Yeah.
I think that John is a brave and intrepid young soul.
Sure.
And I knew John when he was right before he went on Birdhouse. He was around here.
Yeah.
And there are others. There's Braille, for example. But we're not here to sell trinkets. In fact, if we do boards, / whenever we do boards, they're not going to be trinkets. They're going to be one of a kind, like rip them, skate them, 100% guaranteed pieces of, like we want to leave a legacy in quality made boards. If we're going to make boards, we want them to be like this thing. And let me get one. This is a prototype that I made for Life Skateboards.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's available in the Life Skateboards model on the site. I want to do stuff like this a lot more than I used to. you know.
Show the front of it. It's so good. No, the belly of it right here.
The belly of it?
Yeah.
It says, I used to skate. I still do, but I used to too. That's a Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And so I made this for Life Skateboards. It's the aggro on their on the site now.
Yeah.
This one is not the aggro because it's just freaking wider.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that I want to be making. I want to make them irregular now too. I want to use a spindle sander and put all those scallops and all those stuff off angles and really unique. I want every board I make to be unique from here on out.
Yeah.
And
almost like
Pete's Pigs.
Oh,
I love Pete's Pigs.
bro, don't. He's my spirit animal. That guy is really cool.
That's another guy.
Yeah.
There's another example. Like Thrasher could have featured Pete.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
There's nothing about that guy that wouldn't have made an amazing and inspiring Thrasher article.
Yeah.
Why? Why did they sleep on people like Pete's Pigs?
Right.
You know, why? I don't get it.
Right.
I just don't get it, but they did. They not only slept on it for all these years, they pushed it down.
Oh, yeah, no, intentionally.
They called people like Pete
and
and people like me.
Yeah, kooks.
They called them kooks.
And Barneys and
getting called a kook or a Barney in Cincinnati, that was the end of you. In the year 2000, 2005, 2010, they call you a kook and you're done. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, man.
Subjective line in the sand wherein you move from having that excuse, which is not a great excuse, to having no excuse at all. Morally, in my opinion, from my perspective, with the current worldview that I have.
I think that's a good, I remember that, man, I've stood in the skate shop.
Yeah.
As a full supporter of, like, can we even just have a friendly skate shop?
I know, just one, please.
Can we even just have a welcoming and friendly skate shop?
Right.
Well, you get to where, all right, well, maybe you achieved that.
Right.
And, that you've got a skate shop that sort of caters to the kooks and is willing to be friendly.
Right.
And then the owner of the skate shop, like, introduces the kids to, on purpose, like, boasts out loud in mixed company.
Right.
I try to get kids to take every drug, and encourages kids to do things that are very dangerous behaviors. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Some years later, there's a terrible incident in that same skate shop's history, a terrible incident in which a child was criminally hurt, and that same skate shop, different owner, goes on the airwaves and puts an absolute 86 order on anyone that expresses public discourse about what happened, which is the number one thing that makes it less likely to happen again.
Yeah.
And then City Beat magazine here in Cincinnati is writing articles about that skate shop as if they're like the kingmaker and the great saint, patron saint of children and spreading the stoke and all this stuff, when the opposite was so present in the real narrative.
Yeah.
And now multiply that. Take it to other cities, because I got feedback in my years of working a brand. And the thing is, when I was working in a brand, it was so easy for people to hear me say stuff like this and then turn and say, you're just trying to capitalize for your brand that it seemed to me, well, okay, well, then I'll stop doing it as a brand, selling people skateboards. Except now we are capitalizing on a media product that we're putting out there. We are asking for your support.
Yeah.
We are asking for that. So we're never going to be able to express these concepts and these opinions without someone being able to point at us and say, you're just capitalizing. You know what? We are not just capitalizing. Just means only.
Right.
We are not only capitalizing.
Right.
We are, by the way, it's free to listen, fools.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, you're
I mean,
yeah,
last
yeah.
I checked,
We're not behind a paywall.
We didn't put this behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like we have a lot of people listening or even a lot of people saying that.
Right.
But yeah, that argument doesn't really hold water.
Well, and I personally feel like when a person begins to argue in that way, I'm looking for a way out of that conversation almost immediately, because people, whether they know that they're doing it or not, like to argue in such a way where they will frame up an argument that is inherently unfair, and then in order for you to put the pieces back together and make your argument congruent to their brain, it would literally take like 25 minutes of honest listening for you to actually frame it up and explain all the nuances. And I think...
Yeah, you have to be like college level.
Yeah, and it's stupid. I'm not going to waste my time, because it's obvious that that person usually is not interested in any sort of discourse. They just want to shoot an arrow and walk away and feel like they did something for core skateboarding, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, like, I don't like it.
It's sad and it's gross.
Yeah.
Did you ever see someone come into like a moment where they like walked through like a membrane and all of a sudden they get it?
Yeah, that's always nice.
And it feels nice, but then they walk out and they go back through the membrane and they don't get it anymore.
Yep, and it's gone. Yep.
That is something that is very common, as I've spent years trying to engage people with just this approach.
Yeah.
I've seen that people, there's the folks who all they know how to do is throw rocks.
Yeah.
But then there are folks who will they'll lean in and they'll listen, and you think, oh, it would be so sick if that person were a person that you could lean on, who gets it, and they themselves are going to advocate or even militate to some degree for this, this cause or this concept.
Right.
And then they head out the door and it's like it never happened. And I have seen that so many times, and that's one of my lifetime bummers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can watch people run like a cost benefit analysis even inside one conversation with them, where they're trying to figure out, is this worth it?
Right.
And something we've been upfront about is that there is a price to be paid for speaking the way that we're speaking, or advocating for the things that we're advocating for. And the reason that we're advocating for is we're appealing to a higher ethic. And that's the reason we're willing for the risk to be as high as it is, and for it to be as quote unquote painful as it is to say the things that we're saying, because we think that there's a better option.
We think there are. Yeah, we do. That's good, Luke. I like the way you said it. There are better options out there than the options that they've fed to us.
Yeah.
And we're appealing. I like the way you put it, because
Sure.
we are appealing to you, dear listeners.
Yeah.
We're appealing to you that you would let us speak to you and cause thought.
Yeah.
And for some people, we know that what we're saying is encouraging and strengthening.
Yeah.
We hope that you, I wish that if I could get something from this, right away, it would be for Thrasher Magazine to hit up Pete of Pete's Pigs.
Yeah.
And immediately, do a thing on Pete. I think that better than saying, oh, we've been wrong about so many things for so many years. No, you know what? Let's just hang on with that.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I want.
Right.
What I want is moving forward, platform guys like Pete.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking for. And don't softball it.
Yep.
Don't platform guys like Pete and there are hundreds of really amazing people out there. And that's how Thrasher got its real start in the 90s, where it really picked up steam, was it would put out these videos. It would just throw the name in the bottom and have rad skating in the videos.
Right.
Well, all this isn't going to happen. Not with all the corporate money and all that they are beholden to. and all of the label display and sponsorship deals and things that are going on. So we're gonna talk about Pete.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the things that we like and
Right.
the things that we see going on out there, and
Right.
hopefully we won't act like we're beholden to corporate sponsors. By the way,
Right.
we appreciate Skateboards from Life Skateboards, and I got a chance to be in a very, very cool historical project as a guest member of the Zeppelin Aero Works team roster.
Yeah.
Zeppelin Aero Works is a historic photography project with a skateboarding problem, and I'll be talking about that project as it comes up
Yeah.
over the next couple of, it'll probably take 2 years for that project to really coalesce, but they're reconnecting skateboarding with the 1950s and 60s and 70s greats who first really started playing on these wooden toys.
Yeah.
And I love what's going on there. More on that to come. But Life Skateboards makes the skateboards that we ride. They make them like we like them made. They make them directly accountable to the person riding them, and as just that's the best way to get your skateboard is from a skateboard making workshop that works for you directly.
Yeah.
I think the worst way to get your skateboard is to walk into a skate shop and be told to pick the factory pablum shop deck off the wall. I'm gonna piss off a lot of people by saying that.
Yeah, here we go.
And that's just fine.
And that's just fine.
You guys never liked me anyway. And
That's so funny.
I want to thank all of our listeners and say, please support us on. We have a patronage account through Podbean.
Yep.
Podbean. It's CapmLew.podbean.com.
Yes. It's the price of a cup of coffee a day.
It can be it could be the price of a vintage Cabbage Patch doll.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
It could be. We receive funding. We receive funding in any way that it comes, any amount or denomination of American currency. No, send us. File it in euros. It'll take its bite and convert it. It's fine. Australian dollars. Canadian dollars,
whatever, man.
Chinese yuan. I don't know. No,
yen.
Not Juan.
It's Juan.
I think that's the Mexican currency.
Oh my gosh, dude. Canceled. Oh my gosh, dude. Juan.
Well,
that's hilarious.
We're grateful for everyone who has tuned in. We know that our YouTubes are choppy because the Facebook cuts out on us. We're working on it.
That's fine.
We do care.
Yeah.
But we are not going to neglect our wives and our children in order to produce these things.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. No.
So a lot of this down and dirty that you're seeing is because we think the most important things in life are the most important things in life.
Yeah.
That's why you won't see me jumping down anything I can't jump up. Or jumping down anything, period.
Yeah, at all. At all. Yeah, no, sir.
Yeah.
Jeepers, creepers.
Well, this has been a good hour.
Yeah.
So
I
we
agree.
will be at you with more stuff as we go, and we're gonna keep being what we are.
Yeah, check out the Goob too if you want video versions of all this crap. They're slowly posting over time.
And grab yourself a listen on Apple Podcasts and stuff like that.
Spotify and don't please. Oh god. All right, it's fine. Go ahead.
It smells good.
It does smell good. I just can't handle the
I
like.
just love the smell of coffee and oak multi-balm. Ultra premium from Hook Style.
Oh my gosh, dude. I feel like I'm on like a Supreme commercial.
Dude,
That's
no way,
so
dude.
Funny.
It smells so good. We didn't have the dog in here today, so we didn't need the Hook Style multi-balm.
Yeah.
We didn't need it. But when he is in here, he's farting up a storm. We really, when we get the cameras tricked out, they'll be able to, we should have a dog cam in the bottom corner at all times.
That's what Mike Weaver does. He's got a cat cam. It's like in his chair. It's
I
hilarious.
had no idea.
Yeah, he flips to it sometimes. It's so funny.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, definitely doing that.
Because I'll tell you, when that dog sleeps, he is doing work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel better.
He's a genetic experiment, a chimera. That's what he is.
Like chimera.
Yeah, he's not all dog. He's definitely dog is the base.
Yeah.
But that wolf DNA is way back. You got pig.
Yeah, pig. I was gonna say.
Yeah, there's pig. There might be a little bit of baby goat in there.
Like sloth.
Definitely got. He's got pig. He's got dog. He's got polar bear plush toy.
Plush toy.
He has polar bear plush toy DNA.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. I'm not sure every now and then whether there's a little bit of koala coming out. He's got different
just
vibes.
eat and sleep.
Well,
that's hilarious.
We appreciate all of you. Thanks for joining us for an hour. We're going to continue to discuss skateboardery things from the perspective of two aspiring Christians, God-fearing blokes, and we'll hit on Harley stuff and like that. As soon as this weather breaks, it was 53 here today, but it was rainy. As soon as this weather breaks, I'm out of here on my Harley.
Yeah.
It'll be sick.
Be riding.
All right, guys. Thanks for what it's worth. CapmLew.
Laters.
All right, we got our YouTube or our Facebook folks, and
yes.
ultimately YouTube are still with us. Thanks for being here. We had a mess of people on the first.
Yeah, it was like 10 or something.
Before the Wi-Fi took
literally crapped out.
Crapped out hard. Crapped out for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm out, dude. We gotta fix that.
I don't know, bro. You know, there's not a lot that can be done. Oh, we can replace the router.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't like 15 years a good number of years to get out of a router?
No. No.
I think that router is like 10 years old.
Yeah, bro, it's time for an upgrade.
Well, one reason we never upgraded is because we're planning to change our service.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't think that I don't know if you can just buy any router and have it work with a new service. Is that
No, you have to get the right one, but I would suggest, I mean, you can use the one that they give you that you pay for, but I bought my own so I could always have it, and you can buy a little bit of a better one that does work better. My Wi-Fi at my house never craps out, and it's amazing. It's super fast, super good. So
other thing we might do is relocate, even though we've got like full 4 bars right now.
Yeah.
We might relocate the router so that we can get strong
full power
signal.
Yes.
And we've had the same freaking password for easy 7 years.
Yeah, I think I know that password. That's hilarious.
There's work to be done here. There really is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there is. So
we'll figure it out.
Well, I wish that I had the time to call up and talk to and go and visit more of the people who are part of this. My heart and my mind go out to Eric Sanders, who has spent good time with us today.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Eric.
Yeah.
Big time. And I hope that we can. I hope that we can do more and more and more of this stuff as we go.
Me too.
Thanks, friends. Thanks for joining us.
Laters.